Hey everyone, Paul Carl here. Today I'm going to show you some of the numbers behind my business and then also kind of talk about investing versus reselling or flipping cards quickly. This is a topic that came up on Blowout and got my gears turning. I left a response and decided I would make a video about this too. So let's say you have a $100 card and in a year it's worth $200. You invested in it, your investment doubled, you made $100, you made 100% ROI. That's great, right? So you don't do anything for a year, you sell a card once, and you doubled your money. Over here we have $100 sold and reinvested at 10% profit. So rather than waiting a year for this to keep going up, you just sell it for 110 and then buy another card, do the same thing, 10% over and over again. So we see this grow, and the profit is a little bit higher. So you make a little over double the profit for doing 12 times the work, let's say. So one thing that could come up here is this might go up to 2,000, right? Maybe this goes up to 2,000. You made 1,900, right? So that's a possibility here. But the other possibility is maybe it stays at 100 and you get made nothing, or it goes to zero. Probably not zero exactly, but or it goes 25 or whatever. So there's a risk of losing your money and not making that return. And then there is a little bit of work too, I suppose, because you kind of have to monitor the pricing of that card and the market for it. But so here I have a little hidden sell. So let's reveal this. What if you did it weekly? You took a 10% gain every week. So every week you buy a card and you sell it, you make 10%. You do that for a year. Now you're making almost 10 grand off of that $100. So in order for this to give you the same return, well, you need this to go up to like 10,000 basically. So the likelihood of this happening, a $100 card becoming a $10,000 card, it's very slim. So that's why the investing idea I don't like so much. It's very high risk and very little reward when you take into account the opportunity cost. So let's look at some of these pros and cons here. So the opportunity cost is the biggest con here, I think, because if you're going to just passively invest and you don't want to have to do anything, you can just throw that $100 into an index fund, and now you don't even have to monitor prices or anything. You just put it in there and you forget about it till you're 60 or whatever. There's the chance for huge losses. The pros, obviously, the chance for huge returns, and it's mostly passive. But I think if the passive thing is what draws you most to investing in cards, then I would say you should probably just invest passively into index funds or something like that. I'm just some guy at a desk that is made out of a card table. I'm sitting at a card table. So I'm not an investment advisor or anything. But that's just my opinion on it. So flipping pros it's a consistent return. It's a small downside risk. If you notice it dropping and you just, like, let's say you buy a $100 card, you sell it for 90. I mean, you took a $10 loss, but if you have 10 other cards that you got your 10% on, it's pretty much a wash. As long as you're slightly better than as long as you're right slightly more than 50% of the time, you're going to make a consistent return. It's more active. That's a con. You're going to be selling cards on eBay or Instagram or Twitter, whatever you like, and you're probably not going to get that giant return. So then now I want to talk about what I do. I sell common cards mostly, and then sometimes I find good ones. So there's no downside risk really, because a 25-cent card is worth 25 cents forever, pretty much. The returns are very large because you can get these cards for virtually free. Next to nothing. But the con is that it's extremely active, and that's only a con if you don't enjoy the work. I actually find selling on eBay a ton of fun, so this actually becomes positive for me because I really enjoy doing this stuff. So now I want to show you some of the numbers, what it works out to. All right, let's look at some of the numbers here. So this is what I use to kind of calculate what type of promotional coupon I want to use to sell these cards, and this hourly rate is kind of what the profit works out to, because it takes me between 1 and 1.5 minutes to pick, pack, and ship a card, and that number is getting lower. It's approaching 1, and it might actually go even lower if some of these tricks I'm working on pay off. but we'll just keep this 1.5 for the purposes of this example. And this also assumes that the listing is promoted at 10%. So yeah, so if somebody buys a single card from me for $2.99, my profit on that works out to a little over $50 an hour. And most of my sales are on the lower end here, but the goal is to get these lower end cards as part of a multi-card purchase. So if I sell one person one card for $1.69, I'm getting 10 an hour. But if I get them to buy 25 of those cards and I give them 45% off, my hourly rate more than triples. So this was an interesting experiment here. And the nice thing too is, like, with these types of deals, most people will gravitate towards a specific price point. So what I notice is I'm getting either a lot of people buying the really cheap ones to keep their price lower, or a lot of people are buying the really expensive ones to get the better deal. Both of which worked out because, let's see, we got the full-time minimum wage making 31 grand. The median American salary is 54 grand. And then this is just whatever I want it to be. So let's say selling 25 really cheap cards to one person. You can make $74,000 a year if all you do is sell cards for $1.69 at 45% off to people for an entire work year. And then if we change this to the higher end of that formula, now you're making over six figures. You're at 132,000 if people do, best case scenario here. So right now I'm using 3 cards with a 25% discount, which gives me a little less on the lower end and the higher end, but it also reduces my costs a little bit because it requires less supplies. And I think having only 3 cards required makes it easier for people to use the deal because they don't have to search through, 130,000 cards to find 6 or 25. Finding 3 is relatively easy. So I'm testing this out now just to see how many people use it, and I'm going to be comparing these deals to see which one worked out the best in terms of usage. And then I can test a different deal against whatever one came out the best and alternate back to the main one too. But anyway, that's kind of how the numbers work out. I wanted to share this and rant a little bit just to put that out there. This is how the volume game works. One, there's no downside risk. I have tons of cards that cost virtually nothing, so you don't have much money tied up. You're not going to beat these returns in, like, say, the stock market or whatever, because a 30-cent profit on a card that you paid less than 1 cent for, that's a huge return in terms of margins. And so it's just a matter of doing that as many times as possible, as efficiently as possible, which is that's kind of the angle I'm obsessed with. I really like the efficiency side of things and building the systems. And then, at a point with these types of hourly, well, not really these types of hourlies, but if you're getting more of these types of deals here, let's say you pay somebody, you could even pay them $20 an hour. Maybe it's 25 when you cover the taxes and everything. You're still making $10 an hour off of them helping out with the shipping or whatever. This is scalable. This is safe. There isn't really any swings in the values of pricing. Sometimes you find a really nice card that's worth a lot. So let's say I find a $20 card. You find a few $20 cards in a box of bulk. It's not impossible. It's happened to me a whole bunch of times. But somebody buys that $20 card, now you're making over $600 an hour. So it can get pretty crazy. Or even, let's say, $5 card, you're at over $100 an hour for your work. $10 card, you're at $300. It goes up exponentially. 15, you're at, maybe it's not exponential, I don't know, but it goes up a lot. But anyway, that's kind of the gist of it. And I wanted to show you some of my sales. So this is for this month. So I've done 3,500 in sales so far this month, and these are the types of cards that I sell. So this was for $1.85, 87 tops. Alex Ramirez, that was I send offers for 10% off. So if it's $1.60, they get it a little cheaper, which I'm actually curious now. Let's see what the numbers work out for on like a 144. Yes, $3 an hour. But one of the ways that I look at some of these deals where people just buy one card from me, I look at that as like a marketing opportunity, because with repeat customers, if you do a good job and you are providing good customer service, you're packaging meticulously with an attention to detail. Like I use the painter's tape, and I'll fold over the edge so that when they go to take it off, they're not trying to pick at tape and peel it off. There's a little flap. They can just take it right off. They can, from the time they get their envelope to the time the card is in their hand out of the package, should take most people less than 10 seconds. You're not fighting with anything. And then I have a nice little thank you note I put in there too. And I include the invoices always. So I get a lot of repeat customers. So this to me is working, making $3.50 to market my business. So here's somebody who just bought 5 cards, didn't even use a coupon. Little $8 card there. Fleer Retro. One of the things I do too is with some of these cards, when I notice a lot of them are selling, I'll bump it up to like $189. Doesn't make a huge difference to the customer when a card costs $189 versus $160. But let's see, if it's $160 and then let's say $189 here, that's that 20 cents difference almost like more than doubles my my hourly profit. So that's something else to think about with these sorts of things. I'll keep these back the way they were. But yeah, so it's just all kinds of random cards. Whatever it is, I just list it. A little Shaquille O'Neal rookie here. And when you can list, hundreds or thousands of cards per hour, the time it takes to list them kind of becomes negligible. Plus, you get the benefit of having a larger selection so that more people can buy more cards. So like a $30 order is huge for me. The hourly rate on that is insane. And here's another one, $28 after the discount. And you'll notice I hid the tracking numbers and the order numbers and all that stuff. If you want to show your sales like this in a video, you can just go to like inspect, and then you can click through like the part that I have is hidden. So here's no. If I didn't hide them already, you can basically just type right in here. You do like display none, and it disappears. So that's how you hide that stuff. I've got a Bo Jackson card here, Matt Sui. And the thing is, I don't even really know who most of the players are that I sell cards of. But everything sells. Everything will sell eventually. I've sold cards that you would never expect to sell. I've sold like in the 88 Topps, I have one right here. The little advertising card with like win a trip and buy our glossy set. Like those advertising cards, I've sold those before too. Someday those like kid reporter cards will probably sell for something since everybody throws them away. But yeah, this is what some of my sales look like for the types of cards that I sell. Sales like this where the total's greater than the item subtotal. This is an international sale where I charge $2 for shipping, and then the VAT bumps it up even more. Some of these taxes in Europe are crazy. Yeah, I figured I would just talk about these numbers, rant a little bit, show you some of the types of cards that I sell, which you can see there's just a huge variety. So that's why I list everything. I don't spend time cherry picking. I don't spend time sorting cards. Like I just shove them through the scanner and that's it. If I sort, it'll only be for when I have a bunch of cards that are all in the same set and I'm going to do a quantity listing. Then I just want all the cards from the same set in the same place, so I'll separate them that way for that purpose. But with a lot of cards, I'll just take them, put them through the scanner and list them, and just list everything, because it's faster to just list everything than to try to sort cards, manage inventory, and figure out what's worth selling, what's not worth selling, and all that kind of stuff. It just adds so much extra work when you can eliminate all that extra work just by listing it, since each card extra takes a negligible amount of time. The only exception being like if it's a flatbed. If you have to do a flatbed scan, it'll take a little bit longer. But yeah, here's a little look into the store, what sells, what my strategy is, why I prefer selling these types of cards. The other thing is, most people on eBay, most of the cards that are available, most of the cards that sell are under $3. And when you look at like a company like Burbank, they built their business selling these types of cards. And even though there's a lot of competition, you can set yourself apart by building a brand and doing marketing and whatnot with how you package your orders. This is cool. I did a little experiment where I was just ripping out magazines. Well, I cut them out nice, and selling the magazine ads. So you can take a magazine, take the ads out, run them through the scanner, list them in bulk really fast, and people will pay, $8 plus shipping for them. It's kind of crazy. But cards are way cooler to sell than magazine ads. This is great when you get like a team collector or a player collector and they clean out the store. Buy a whole bunch of Green Bay Packers. This is something I do since I have exact scans and quantity listings. For my quantity listings, I automate the image editing to add, like, this blue background is a new thing. I used to just have a white background, but I wanted to make it stand out a little more, so I added blue. But then that orange bar on the bottom ties into my logo, and it just says, like, stock scan, multiple available. And that's how if you looked at the Excel video where I list, where I show how I list thousands of cards per hour or add thousands of cards to the store per hour, these are the types of listings that I create with that method, or that I'm updating quantity for with that method. Here's the old version here with the stock scan. Excuse me. But yeah, this is it. Lots of Michael Jordan cards. Michael Jordan sells really easily. Yeah, I guess I'll stop here and end the video, but thanks for checking it out. Let me know what you think about, investing in cards versus like the quick flip versus selling stuff just in bulk, doing big volume sales, having a big store. Like, what do you think are the pros and cons? Did I get it right, or am I an idiot? All right, thanks again.